What's up, everybody? So we are on episode 15. 15, we are getting close to the cash trip for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So we know that season ending is getting really close. I said in the last video that I have no idea what this season was about. It's a lot of Kyle and Mo, but then there's still nothing there. I don't understand how, Beverly Hills is like famous for having the same conversation over and over again and not getting anywhere. So I don't know why I'm surprised. But I will say this episode was better, in my opinion, than last episode. So, we'll take the small wins. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tierney. This is the Tears Take, and I upload weekly reality recaps. If you love the Real Housewives and all of their antics, this channel is for you. If you love the video, and I know you will, go ahead and like it for me. I mean, you might as well just do it now so you don't forget. And please subscribe, and that way other Bravo lovers like yourself will be able to see my content. So thanks in advance for your support. So let's get into it. So Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, this is episode 15, season 14. And I have a few thoughts. It was a cute episode. So let's go ahead and start from the beginning. So in the beginning, we see Dorit visiting Erica, and she's, in awe of Erica's like wallpaper and new design. So people talk about Garcelle not having a storyline. Where's Erica's? And then Bose comes by with Telfar bags, mind you, and has a whole bunch of goodies, bathing suits, things for their upcoming trip to St. Lucia. We see a flashback that we didn't see included in the prior episodes of Bose inviting the girls on a cash trip. So I was like, okay, newbie, okay, hosting a cash trip. I love that Bose came in and just fit in. She didn't shrink herself. She came in herself. She didn't come in doing too much. She came in doing just enough, and here she is hosting a cash trip in her first year. So kudos to you, Bose. I love it. And I love that she is consistently bringing in Black-owned businesses, highlighting Black professionals, Black businesses. I am here for it and that's why she's the marketing genius she is, because it's so subtle. It just is. It's not her like being a walking billboard or promoting. It's like you can tell it's a real part of her life, and she's just living it. But it's just great that she's using her platform to help amplify these things. And so, excuse me. So I just had to highlight that because that's something else I noticed about her, and I was like, I love this woman. Bose, don't let me down, because I'm just like, Bose. And the next scene flips to Sutton and Garcelle, and from here on, after this scene, it kind of like is a split between Erica, Bose, and Dorit, and then Sutton and Garcelle. So we kind of jump back and forth. So Garcelle comes over to visit Sutton, and Garcelle was like, oh, everyone's talking about Kathy Hilton being like fashion roadkill at your fashion show, and Sutton's just laughing it off, and I'm like, girl. And she did the same thing in the after show. I was just like, y'all are so scared of Kathy. Because it's like, okay, it wasn't the biggest deal in the world of what happened, but it still wasn't cool. It still wasn't right. And it's like, Sutton, I know you're scared to check her. You ain't gonna check her. She was like, oh, it's Kathy. And like, even Erica, she like clocked that the girls were scared of her. But when they asked Erica about it, Erica was like, no, I wasn't mad at Kathy, but I was mad at my mom. And I'm like, because Kathy was talking to Erica's mom in the front row, and that's when the girl bumped into Kathy, or walked around Kathy. It wasn't like a big bump, but Erica was like, no, like my mom knows better than to F with people's shows. And I'm like, your mom was sitting there. Kathy was doing it. Y'all so scared. And not that you have to like curse her out, but like you can say like, girl, that wasn't cool. Like you can just give you can give constructive feedback, or just give your opinion of like, nah, that wasn't cool. But everyone's just like, Kathy. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So so Garcelle and Sutton just laugh off the Kathy Hilton fashion show debacle. And they quickly move on to Garcelle debriefing Sutton about the lunch that she had with Dorit. And Garcelle pretty much says that I asked what her beef is with you, and she didn't, she was surprised that I even said that, and I had to remind her that it's not a one-sided thing, it's both of you guys. And then that's when this scene kind of splits between the two. So then it goes back to Bose and Erica and Dorit is filling them in about her lunch with Garcelle. And Dorit's saying that, Garcelle kind of, not reprimanded her, but Garcelle was defending Sutton and saying, she gets really sensitive when you guys talk about her drinking, and you shouldn't joke about it. You shouldn't keep joking about it. So then Erica, had to kind of remind everyone, like, at my lowest point, Garcelle and Sutton were talking about my drinking, and like, how do you think that made me feel? And I was like, Erica, you cursed out Garcelle's son. You're lucky she even gives you the time of day right now. So I would hush, and I would lean into the alcoholism, because you had to be out your damn mind if you think you're talking to my kids that way. So at least blame that on the alcohol, honey. I would have leaned real far into that. Otherwise, you just look like an asshole cursing at kids. So pipe that down. Don't be pulling Garcelle. Garcelle was talking about my drinking. You cursed her son out that season. All bets are off, bitch. So Sutton, though, yeah, she was poking and prodding, but she had a right. Like, what happened was just really crazy, was really crazy. And you can't sit up here talking about acting like nothing happened and acting like this divorce was just a coincidence and expect everyone to walk on eggshells because, you're just some big tough girl. No, she asked the important questions. She's on a show with you. So anytime your name is in the headlines, they're pulling in their names as, associates and cast members. So she had a right to ask the questions that we all wanted to know. Because if Sutton didn't do it, we wouldn't have had a season. Now would we? So I would pipe down on that too. I understand that you're sensitive on, that you were going through a hard time and people were trying to call you out on a few things or ask and pry. And yeah, that can be annoying. But the two things are not the same. And not that I'm going too hard on Sutton because, like, we have seen the way she drinks. But, I'm just tired of the woe is me. And you do the same thing. Just like you don't like it being done to you, you act the same way. Speaking of hypocrisy, Bose in that conversation brought up the hypocrisy of, Garcelle doesn't like me speaking up for Dorit, but she does the same thing for Sutton. And I agree with that. And Erica was just like, yeah, they've been doing that for years. And I'm like, what was the little Fox Force flies or Fox Force foxes? What was that? Y'all did the same thing. So just because it's being done to you, now all of a sudden it's a problem that you have someone's back. My issue is not that Garcelle has Sutton's back. My issue is that she goes so hard for Sutton, and I do not see it returned for Garcelle. So let's be very clear about that. Because I know in other videos I'm constantly saying, oh my gosh, she's doing the most for Sutton. Yes, but it's not because I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going against the other girls in defense of Sutton. It's the Sutton-Garcelle dynamic that I'm like, I don't like that. So let's be clear about that. So then the conversation turns for them talking about Kyle and Dorit. And they were like, oh, they seemed really chummy at your fashion show. They seemed like they were best friends. And Sutton was like, yeah, that was weird. And Garcelle clocked a little bit of Sutton's tea. She basically said that Sutton feels more secure in her relationship with Kyle when she's fighting with Dorit. And, she just so badly wants to be close and stay close to Kyle. And when Kyle is in good with Dorit, that kind of threatens that relationship with Sutton. And I said, clock it, Garcelle. Exactly right. My thing is I would go a little bit further than that, but we'll talk about kind of like the part 2 to that further in the episode because I have thoughts. And then they from talking about Kyle, they segue into talking about her issues with Mo and the Morgan of it all. And okay, my thing is, I'm getting tired of their conversations only being about the other women, because like I said, Kyle hasn't given us much. So these conversations are so repetitive, and I'm gonna need y'all next season. You gotta get some business of your own. You gotta get more of a storyline. I love that they call the other women out, and they're kind of like the anti Fox Force 5. I love that, but like that can't be your whole like identity. You have to get a storyline. You have to have some story. Sutton gave us some things with talking about her mom, and like Sutton does do a lot of the heavy lifting, but like Garcelle and Lord knows Erica over there talking about wallpaper child, y'all have to, and I don't know. I'm struggling because like maybe they are talking about interesting things, and maybe production is just like, no, we're going to focus on the Kyle storyline, and maybe they're editing. So we are seeing an edited show and their edited conversation. So maybe I need to talk to producers too. Producers, if they are talking about anything else interesting that's happening with them, I want to see that. I don't want to see them constantly in Kyle and Mo, especially when there's no movement. This is now the third, fourth episode of them talking about this picture, and there has been no movement. So I don't want to see the repetitive conversations. We got to get something else, because it's a hot ass mess. So in the rest of that scene, Garcelle tried to get Sutton to talk about Morgan and Kyle. She basically pointed out how like hypocritical it is of, hey, like we as a public and we as the group can talk about the picture of Mo, but we're expected to keep everything between Kyle and Morgan hush hush. And she was kind of like putting it on the table for Sutton to pick up and talk about and have some back and forth with. But Sutton was real quiet. She was real like, well, yeah, yeah. So she was basically like pussyfooting around and not engaging Garcelle the way two friends normally would. And the way we have seen them both do it. We've seen Sutton do it earlier this season when she wasn't, when she was, I'm not bowing down to the Kyle Richards, altar or whatever. So, she was basically trying to get some dialogue going again about someone else. So it's like, girl, you got to find something else to talk about. And, Sutton was just like, well, like maybe we shouldn't bring up this. Maybe we should say it to her like that. And maybe like basically just pussyfooting and just like kind of like being really trepidatious about how, if you guys want to bring it up, we should bring it up gently and quietly and not offend her. Like just girl. And while I agree with Garcelle, I just don't care about this storyline. So I don't know. Bring it up one more time, I guess. Maybe it's going to come up on the trip. But after this season, I don't care. I don't want to hear about it. She can be with Morgan. She can not be with Morgan. She can be with a man. She can be with a woman. I do not care. I don't know. I'm over Kyle, and then I'm over them talking about Kyle. So that's where I stand. But yeah, like for whatever reason, Sutton is now under Kyle's spell again. And it's that like pick me energy where she's like, okay, maybe if I'm, if I don't bring this up, she'll like me. And she's fallen in line, and she's doing what I told her not to do. Because in the beginning of this season, when she said, I'm not bowing down, and she was calling out Kyle's hypocrisy, I was like, yes, Sutton, keep that energy. And lo and behold, she did the same thing she has done every season of she's really strong in the beginning, and then she just fizzles out. And then by the reunion, she's just like, wishy-washy, bland, and I'm like, I don't know. I think I'm just really neutral on everybody now. I was really rooting for Sutton and Garcelle. At one point, I really liked Erica. At one point, I really liked Kyle years ago, but I really liked Kyle. And now it's just like the more we get to know these hoes, I'm like, all right, I'm kind of just good on all of you guys. Like, and I'm just I'm just going to be here as a viewer because as a whole, it's fairly interesting, but y'all individually, I'm like, ugh. So that's just what it is. Whatever. So in the next scene, Bose drives over to Kyle's house and drops over the bag of the bathing suits and all the goodies for the St. Lucia trip. And they start talking about the Mo picture. And apparently she had texted Kyle, I'm so sorry, and let me know if you need anything. Like, she basically was checking in on her, and Kyle really appreciated that. And Bose was just like, I was about to drive over here, and she was just really being sweet, really being a girl's girl. Kyle, take notes. And Bose said in her confessional that when I talked to Kyle about her being cold, she put it back on me and made the point that I didn't make a lot of the effort either. So here I am, and I just want to talk one-on-one, which I think is great. Bo's great strategy, and just, like I said, it's a nice thing to do, and she's being a girl's girl. But in terms of housewife strategy, great strategy, go straight to, the queen bee, and get in good. But I know Bo's like isn't like a follower, so I'm not meaning like that, but it's just good to solidify your footing and not be latched onto just one person. So it's good that she's starting to branch out and like talk to other people. So I love that. So they basically start talking about the picture, and Bose asked Kyle a lot of the questions that we have heard asked over the season. How are you feeling? Like, what was your intention? Do you want to leave him? All of the things. Kyle doesn't give any, she doesn't really say anything new that we haven't heard, except that she did say, now that she saw the picture, she now feels like she has the permission to move on. And so now that's where she's at. And I loved Bose's reaction during this whole thing, because she was like, what? Huh? Ooh, and that is me. And I love that. Like, when I'm talking and I'm giving a story, I need you to like act interested. I need you to lean in. I need you to ask. I need the facial expressions. I need the reactions, because then I don't know if you're listening. If you're just sitting there like, oh, I'm just waiting until you're done. No, you need to give me something, because the more you give me, the more I can give you, and the more I can put in my story. So I would like to just talk to Bo so we can kiki together and amp each other up in the conversation. So that was the main thing. Bose did give her own perspective on when she had separated from her husband and he got sick, and at the time he was able to do what he wanted, and he actually had a girlfriend or someone that he was seeing who he ended up having, help take care of him and visit him in the hospital. And Bo said she lost her mind. And I think at that point she realized, like, no, I want to be with him. And it took kind of seeing that to know that that she wanted to be with him. And, in this case with Kyle, it's different. It took seeing that to be like, oh, okay, I can really leave now. So everybody's different. Every relationship is different. But I really appreciated that insight, because, again, it's her personal story. She's just not there to just get Kyle's tea. She's there to connect and share part of her. And I love to see it. Child, so then we have a scene of Dorit going out to dinner with PK or PJ, whatever he's going by these days. And girl, she did it again. Dorit, I'm gonna need you to order the carcass out. She did it again. She ordered her drink, 3 lemons, squeeze. And I'm like, she did it again. I don't know why. I don't know who told her to stop saying the carcass out, but she stopped saying it, and we're gonna fight Dorit. But anyway, so there wasn't a lot in this conversation, except that PK is a douche. And he, I believe, is gaslighting Dorit. So let me just get into it. So basically, Dorit was saying, we started out, so amicable, and then things went so so bad. And PK starts saying, oh, well, it started with you controlling like the apartment and where I was gonna live and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, it's interesting that he's saying that Dorit has control issues when he's been kind of maneuvering this whole separation and he's been calling the shots. And I have no idea why Dorit is still even entertaining him. Like, she's like, well, why did you ask? Do you want a divorce? Why did you ask a lawyer? Why did you bring in a lawyer? Why'd you tell me to get a lawyer? And da, da, da. And PK's like, oh, well, we couldn't talk. We needed someone to mediate. I'm like, honey, get a therapist. You don't get a divorce lawyer for you guys to figure things out. So that right there, I'm just like, come on. And my thing is that, number one, he said it out of his own mouth. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. He said in that little therapy session blow up, this is why I want a divorce. This is why I'm leaving her. He initiated the separation. He sent you a 7-page email telling you, here's what's gonna happen. Here's the custody schedule. Here are the bills you need to take care of. You need to get a lawyer. I don't. Why is there still a question? And so she's like, yeah, do you want a lawyer? And he's kind of like tiptoeing around. He didn't say directly yes or no. He was just like, oh, we need to work it out. There's things we need to work on. No. And then Dorit says, I believe in a confessional. Basically, like, PK's been in the driver's seat. And I'm just like, well, that's interesting because he's saying you have control issues. And yet everything he's in the driver's seat. He's calling the shots. He's telling you what to do, when to do it. And you're like, and anything else? You don't want the divorce, right? Okay. No. Girl, stand up. Own your power. This guy told you he doesn't want you in so many words. Take that and move on. And if she comes back next season and it's now a divorce storyline, I don't care. I don't care. Because I don't want to hear, I don't want the sob story. You knew this was coming. So prepare yourself and get yourself in position to protect yourself and to protect your children. Period. So Keely comes over to have dinner with Bose and Liao. And it's so sweet. He brought her flowers, like very sweet, very nice guy. And basically Bose is trying to get them to just bond and get to know each other. Their relationship has moved so quickly that she's now just kind of making sure that Lael can kind of catch up with them and feel included and feel comfortable with him, which is great. Keely, you're still clicking down for me. I mean, Lael was asking all the right questions, all the questions that Bose should have asked. Like, if y'all work it out, where are you going to live? Are you moving in here? When are you getting married? Are you getting married? Do you want more than one kid? Like, what about this? What about that? What about this? So I was just like, Lael, thank you. Because she got more sense than her mama sometimes. Like, I love Bose, but when it comes to this relationship with Keely, I'm like, come on, girl. Ugh. So I don't know. Keely answered some of the questions. He was basically like, I think I'll move in here, but I will keep my place in San Diego. And, he gave some answers, but when it came to some of the other questions, like when are you getting married and things like that, he's still wishy-washy. There has not been any firm date. And I'm like, no, sir. Sir, please get out my house. I don't know. I can only deal with a non-answer, but so many times. But it seems like Bose is used to it. So you like it, I love it. So the next scene, Mauricio comes over to Kyle's house. And first of all, when did Portia get so grown? I can't. Every time I see her, I'm like, who's that? Like, I always think it's one of the older girls. And then I'm like, Portia? Oh my God. I can't. We saw her when she was a baby. So in my eyes, I'm like, you're 5 years old. And then I'm like, damn, you're like a freaking teenager. I can't handle it. I know Kyle's like mind is blown because Jesus. Anyway, gorgeous girl. So whatever. Portia's there and then she leaves and lets her parents talk. And Mauricio is a whole lot of humming. And he's like really trying to distract himself and trying to make coffee and trying to move around so he doesn't have to look Kyle in the eye. They have some small talk. And Kyle said in the after show that Mauricio said, like, I don't want to talk about the picture on camera. I'm not even going there. But then in the scene, we see him bring it up. So it's kind of the elephant in the room, and he brings it up on his own, and he was just like, yeah, so obviously that picture came out. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it for it to come out and, upset you. And then the main thing that Guy got out of this, like my take out of this is, Kyle, do not give that man your tears. I was so mad. I mean, it's Kyle. It's to be expected. She's very sensitive and she cries, very easily. However, girl, I would have sucked those tears in because if I were her, I'm too petty. I have too much pride for me to give you my tears in this situation. Because I would have been like, oh, yeah. Oh, and she's a beautiful girl. Like, I would have just spun that around. I would have been like, oh, she's cute. Can you ask her where she got that cover up from? Because that was really cute. And you know what? I'm just glad that, paparazzi didn't catch me what I was doing last week. But, do you, Mo? You want some creamer for that coffee? Like, that's the energy I would have been on. But, she's up here, like, really upset, and he hugged her. Mauricio was basically saying, hurting you is the last thing I wanted to do. I don't want to hurt the kids. And, it was a sweet moment. But like I said, it was really a whole lot of nothing. It was just, him apologizing and she saying, it's okay. I know you didn't do it on purpose. It's just very weird. It's very strange. So there really wasn't a whole lot else that came out of that scene. Kyle's just saying in her confessional, I think, seeing that picture, same thing she said to Bo, seeing that picture is just making it really clear that this is permanent and I need to move accordingly. That's pretty much what she said. So then we see the ladies packing for the trip to St. Lucia, and we see them traveling, Kyle and her ugly luggage, and they had to take separate flights, but they all made it there. And oh God, I need a vacation. I am just so ready to go somewhere. I'm terrified to travel right now, but oh man, seeing that gorgeous beach and the drinks, and I'm like, I need to be there. But anyway, so they arrived to the villa. Everything looks gorgeous. I didn't expect anything less from Bose. The accommodations are wonderful. They have a staff greeting them, again, with tropical drinks, and it just really just sets the tone for an amazing, luxurious trip. So everyone gets their rooms. Bose, Dorit, and Erica are sharing a villa. Kathy and Kyle are sharing a villa. And then Jennifer Tilly, I don't know why I say her full name, but Jay Tilly and Sutton and Garcelle are sharing a villa as well. And they just spend their time looking and unpacking and things like that. So as the group separate, Sutton talks to Garcelle and Jennifer, and she basically says, like, I'm noticing some weird vibes with Dorit. Like, things were just so weird. And I'm like, duh, girl, you caught her poor in front of like 10 people. Like, what? Come on, Sutton. Sutton, I like you, but you got to give me something to work with. Like, don't sit here and talk about I'm better than you. I have more money than you. I'm not lowering myself to argue with someone like you. You don't even make enough. Step your tax bracket up. Get your money game up. And you're doing all this. And then the next time I see you and I don't talk to you, you're going to be like, well, what? Well, why? Why? I don't understand. It's just so weird. Like, if you're going to be a tough bitch, be a tough bitch. But if someone gives you that same energy or pays you dust, don't sit there and wonder why. It's like a reminder from the earlier season when Garcelle told Dorit, like, I don't like you. And then when Dorit didn't talk to you, it was like, oh, well, why isn't she including me in the conversation? Like, y'all gotta pick a lane. My God, it is so infuriating. But anyway, so she's like, oh, there's weird vibes, da-da-da. And then we see Dorit talking about it. And Dorit was like, I'm not sure how Sutton's coming in. Like, she might come with wrath. But this time around, it's kind of like her coming in with her tail between her legs. Like, I've been a bad girl. It was funny when Dorit said that. And that's, that's like the hot and cold with Sutton. Like, and that's what Erica has tried to say about Sutton earlier. And I think that's what she's saying in the next episode of, like, you pose as a friend and then you have these like weird, like, you flip and it's strange and we don't know how to handle it. So probably talk about that more in the next episode. But Sutton does do that. Like, as much as I do like her, girl, you do that. So then Sutton talks about Dorit and Kyle, and she's like, it's so strange. Like, they're acting like nothing happened, and they are just so quick to forgive and move on. And Garcelle was like, yeah, that's true. They've always been like that, but people can say that about me and you. So Garcelle didn't really give it too much. But then Jennifer Tilly was basically saying that she feels intimidated in the friend group because she said, everyone has so much history and it just seems really cliquey and it's hard to kind of feel included and feel part of the group. And Jennifer shares a little bit about her background of, how she wanted to be in the cool group growing up, and she grew up just kind of being excluded from cliques. She was just like this weird hippie girl who didn't shower. Then she was like, oh wait, I should have said that. Like, ew, you nasty ass. So then Kyle and Sutton were kind of agreeing that it is very cliquey. And Jennifer asked Sutton, do you feel that no matter what you do, it's just not good enough? Like, you just won't be accepted. And Sutton's crying. And she's like, I just want them to like me so bad, but I just can't get them to. Pick a lane. Pick a lane. Because if you want them to like you so bad, maybe you shouldn't bring up the New York Times article. Maybe you shouldn't bring up, Kyle's crumbling marriage at the weed dinner. Maybe you shouldn't name them. It's a fine line of being able to call your friends out, like, girl, what had happened? Like, come on, let's talk about it. But versus Sutton, what she does, she kind of goes on the offensive. And then when they defend themselves, she's like crying. You have to pick. Are you going to name them and hold them accountable and call them out and lead the charge and kind of feed into what the audience wants to see and enjoys? Or are you going to kind of fall in line because they don't like to be called out. So if you are going to be their friend, you got to kind of play by their rules. I mean, I really wouldn't care. So I would continue to call them out and we can just kind of keep it arm distance. And I wouldn't care to be in the clique. But if you care that much, then act like the clique or don't. Fall in line or shut up. But you can't go do things that they don't like and then wonder why they don't like you. You know what I mean? So, oh my God, pick one. And, yeah, she's sitting up here crying, and I can't stand it. It really bothers me when I see Sutton and Garcelle talk about the other group when they're like, oh, the cool girls, and they're so cliquey, and we're just excluded, because it makes it look like, are you guys just friends because you're on the outside? Are you just friends out of convenience? And I know some people have accused them of that. I think they do have a genuine relationship, but I don't know. Something tells me because Sutton is such a pick-me, if given the chance to throw Garcelle under the bus, if the timing was right and the things were right, I feel like she would, just to kind of get in their favor. I don't know. Sutton did point out in that conversation, that Garcelle has been the only one to really continuously support her, but it's been so hard to kind of penetrate the group. But I don't know. I don't know if that's enough. It's giving, you know what it's giving? It's giving a little bit. They're not as annoying as Whitney and Heather from Salt Lake City, but it gives me how Whitney and Heather were on the outs from Lisa Barlow, and they formed, their little bad weather against Lisa. But as soon as one of them became friends with Lisa, they ditched the other one. I think it was Whitney first, because it flipped. I think they both experienced this. And I think first Whitney was kind of accepted by Lisa, or so she thought, and all of a sudden had these problems with Heather and wanted to distance herself and take a friendship break. But then I think the following season, when Whitney and Lisa fell out and Heather started getting kind of close with Lisa, they were still on the rocks. So I just feel that's the energy I get. Oh, we're such great friends. But I feel like if given the opportunity, Sutton would just kind of separate herself or distance herself a little bit from Garcelle. I don't know. I don't want to say that about Garcelle. I feel like Garcelle was given the opportunity. I noticed that season, I think it was season 12, when it was kind of, yeah, I think it was season 12 after Sutton had gone after Erica and, you know, really led the charge and talking about Tom's case and things like that. The following year, when they went to Tahoe and I think it was Palm Springs. It wasn't Tahoe. When they went to Palm Springs, and you know, that's when Kyle was like, "Oh, we're gonna have the other girls in the hotel," and then you know, Garcelle's gonna. She invited Garcelle to be like in the house with the clique, and Erica was saying, "Oh, Sutton's a liability. We can't get to know you, Garcelle, because of Sutton." And so I feel like they were trying to wedge between them two, but Garcelle didn't fall for it. And then when she didn't fall for it, they were like, "Okay, girl, well, bye then." Like they were kind of like, "Okay, well, you're back on the outs then." So I don't want to say that about Garcelle, but Sutton, I don't know. If you are crying about this, girl, and you're too old, stand up. I don't know. One thing about me, I don't care. And that people can smell like the pick me and the like wannabe, like the wannabe in the clickness. People can sense that because like I remember, I feel like there were a few instances in my life where this happened, but I remember specifically meeting a friend of a friend, and there was and that the person who I was being introduced to was really kind of like, hey, and as soon as I felt that, I said, well, girl, F you too then. So I paid her complete dust during the event or whatever we were doing. And then right towards the end, it was, oh yeah, so, and she was just like up my ass the rest of the day. And I was like, girl, no. Like as soon as I showed her, I really don't care. I don't care about your opinion. I'm still here. I'm gonna take up space. I'm a he, ha, ha. And I'm living my life because you really don't affect my mood. She turned so quick. So anyways, so as she's crying and she's like, I just want them to like me so bad, it stops and then it says 24 hours later and it's Dorit giving it to Sutton. It's Erica getting in her ass, and Sutton finally just like explodes on a boat because you know Beverly Hills, when they on a boat, there's always some, you know, it goes down on a boat. And Sutton's just like, what the do you want from me? And so I'm like, all right, so I'm here. I'm seated for the next episode. We already know this trip is going to be bananas. And, you know, we're coming up on the end of the season. How they're going to tie this mess in a bow, we shall see. But, you know, the next couple episodes will probably be very entertaining. So that is all for my recap. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up. Please like and comment. Oh, that's liking it. Please subscribe to the channel. Please share with your friends who may enjoy it. And let's go ahead and build a community. Let's keep talking about it. And thank you so much for rocking with me. I appreciate your support. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.